Entirely ready. What does it mean to have willingness? What does it really mean to be able to build up your character? And what does it mean to understand self destruction? Welcome again to another episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast, where we encourage you to laugh every day, work hard in recovery, work hard in your relationships, and work hard in your job and your business. Because you have to love unconditionally. And you know what? If you just love more, you'll get more love back. Your EQ is your IQ, and you cannot outthink an emotional issue. We are now encouraging people to join the Recovery Freedom Circle Facebook group. This is a community where you can leave comments, where you can add your own stories about recovery. We can always talk about the disease, but I'm always focused on the recovery, the solution, what is present, and what is in our future, and everything else that you can achieve. If you have a question, always be able to contact me. Free 15-minute discovery call, whether we're talking about the steps, recovery, relationships. Go to www.lifeiswonderful.love, Love, and there you'll be able to schedule a call. You will also see in the show notes how you can tap in straight into the Facebook group, but also you'll be able to get the Facebook group through my website. Now let's get in to this episode, Step 6, and why so many people struggle or get this wrong or never finish. Now, if you read the 12 and 12, what Bill Wilson wrote, he writes there in the very beginning, this is a step that separates the men from the boys. But the problem is that Bill Wilson spends too much time talking about character defects. And I don't think he truly understood back in the late 30s or in 1950 when he wrote this, exactly what needed to be done. He had his own idea. A lot of this comes from biblical messages. Some of it will come from then the medical community. Neither of them, one, really understood or understands psychology. Because from the religious standpoint, there's always been this fire and brimstone. Heaven is great, hell is fire. You do good, you have all this paradise. And that doesn't work, especially for addicts. And then the medical community was almost befuddled by alcoholism, that almost felt like there was no help, that they were a sad case. In a lot of ways they were. And psychology in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s was nascent. They did not know really how to do things. And also, this whole movement about either self-help, improvement, was still trying to almost get a little bit of momentum. So in reality, what are we doing with all the steps? We are not trying to eliminate character defects. And I know that's the problem when people read the big book, the first 164 pages, or you go into other literature, we're talking about gambling, they always are talking about, we're going to, like the central tenets is accept that you have a problem, turn to God or higher power, write down all your faults. This will actually highlight your character defects, make amends, ask for forgiveness, get closer to God and higher power through prayer and meditation, and then do service work. Now, the overall message, okay, I get it. But what are we truly trying to do with all the steps, and especially step 6? We're trying to build your character. That's why when I did the 12 steps explained, and that's why now when I have this system that I'm out there, people are signing up for the Recovery Freedom Circle, is because I'm building character. I am building your 3 best character traits. And I am going to really define who you are. Like when they ask, who is Hugo? I always say it's about creativity, it's about empathy, and it's about discipline. I love creating these podcasts, my videos on YouTube, creating products and a business. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. It is something where you just kind of get up and you just have to produce and be creative. But in that, you also now I have empathy. And I always want to create empathy that I'm truly listen to the other point of view, whoever I'm dealing with, uh, family, friends, business. And you also need to have discipline. Each and every day, just got to get up and do the work. Got to get up and do what needs to be done. It's not always have this same attitude, but at least you get up and you do the discipline. And that's what I'm always encouraging. What are your 3 best character traits? Because they are not your character defects that you may highlight from a step 4. Step 4, you may be talking about envy, you may be talking about self-worry, you may be talking about selfishness, you may be talking about hatred, you may be talking about a list of things that your character comes out. But all that comes out, that negative character comes out because you're an addict, because you are an alcoholic, you're a compulsive gambler, you're a problem gambler, you're a problem drinker, you're doing all kinds of drugs and pills. You're a different person. You have 2 personalities. And that personality, when you are gambling and losing, when you're drunk or when you're high, you're really just an asshole, a jerk. You're always irritable. You're argumentative, or you're depressed and you just want to be left alone. And then you have to deal with your spouse, your partner, your parents, your kids, your siblings, your friends, your coworkers, and no one wants to deal with you. They either have to walk on eggshells or they have to be very wary because you're not the right person. Because here's what's happening. In truly step 6, instead of talking about that, this is coming from the 12 and 12, that an alcoholic or let's say a gambler can be very self-righteous or they can actually be gluttonous. But in reality is they are getting into self-destruction. We talk about how addiction can lead to suicidal ideation, to suicidal thoughts or actually attempts. But in reality, each and every day, we are in a form of self-destruction. And we have to really talk about when people are walking into the rooms, low self-esteem, and they're self-destructing. That is what needs to stop. We need to build up your self-esteem, and we need to cut out this self-destructive behavior, which does not even make a fraction of who you truly are and how great you can be and how powerful you can be and how loving you can be and everything else and all those dreams and goals that you can achieve. That is what we need to really address in step 6 is that you have character defects is because you're self-destructing. You're self-destructing because you're drinking, you're gambling, and you're doing drugs or pills. And you can also be getting into constantly video games or sex. Here's the thing. You do not need to do that anymore. But if I build up your character and I start to tell you who you are, then your character defects start to go away. Obviously, if you stop doing your addiction, all your negative attributes like being always irritable. That's what I always say, when a gambler is always irritable, angry, everything sets them off because when you're in a losing or a desperation cycle, nothing's going to get you out. Not even a big jackpot. You are still going to have that loser mentality. And the thing is we need to change that into a winning mentality. So the things that are much more difficult when we talk about building up step 6, and it's one of the 3 tenets that I talk about on this podcast, how to love unconditionally. It is very, very hard. And it's also hard to be truly joyous, happy, cheering on, or complimentary of a sibling, especially a sibling, a best friend, or even a coworker if they got a promotion, they got a big house, they're traveling to somewhere cool. There's almost that instinctive envy. Why are they doing better than me? Or why are they going? Well, maybe they saved, maybe there could be a number of reasons. But here's the thing. We should always be joyous and happy for what any human being is able to achieve, especially if it's one of their dreams and their goals. And we should be constantly cheered. And hopefully that then turns into the discipline that we need to do and for us to achieve whatever's on our goals and dreams list. See, that's the essence of step 6. We are building up your character. We are eliminating any type of self-destructive behavior. We are learning to love unconditionally. We are learning also how to be an exceptional cheerleader. And we're creating this willingness which also creates discipline to do what we have to do every day to wake up. Because when we go into step 10, when I say, well, how do we bring more harmony into this world? Well, it begins with having strong character. That strong character means you have strong leadership skills. And that means we're also getting into brotherly love. But that's all ties in. You see how the 12 steps explained is all about making you this unstoppable force and just enjoying life and living large. And you are going to be successful once you actually have the character that you were always destined to be and live up to. With that, we are going to end this episode of the 1% in Recovery.